Developing Africa.net was started on the basis of how do we allow other Africans to use a framework to start their own development in Africa. So forget about the government, forget about funding. Just, you have a problem in your community. How can you start? How can somebody from Lesotho, Somalia, Mauritania, Nigeria start that development? And it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle that allows you to convert a problem in Africa, commercialize it, and turn it into a solution. Now, you say, how many problems do we have in Africa? That conversation will never end because there's tons of it. But there's no point in talking and lamenting about the fact that we have a problem. What are we going to do about it? We cannot give it to one central government, because if we give it to one central government, it would choke them. Just the application form. You see in Nigeria, they say queue for employment and the whole stadium is filled. That's the demand we have. Now imagine if that stadium all registered online and registered an issue in their community they would like a solution to. But not just say we want a solution, lead it. Create the business case for a solution to that problem. Because the concept about supply and demand is about the day supply is prepared to engage demand, it will go. But it needs to see that demand. What is the demand from Africa for international suppliers? We don't want international suppliers to come in and find the demand. We want to take demand to supply, but to showcase it in such a way so that we have international project development, project documentation criteria within the platform that allows a supplier in China, in Australia, in Austria, in Spain to see how their product can be placed in Africa. But it is Africans taking the lead, and we're using this via the African youths. Why the African youths? They're the ones that are most social media friendly. They are the ones that are more in tune with the internet, and they are the ones that are most likely to be online. Part of this development is also to showcase the fact that not only can I show you what the problem is, if you want to reach me, you can reach me via Facebook, you can reach me via Twitter, you can reach me via YouTube, all of those facilities. So the technology is there to enable Africa to showcase its problem. I have never seen anywhere in this world where there's a need and the supply doesn't go to the need. So developing Africa is about allowing Africans to showcase what, as a journalist, you may say you want to allow media, mass media reporting real time from every African country. You put that on our platform, it reaches out to all the students across each country who would report into your platform. You then create a service which you generate revenue from. You've turned a problem of lack of press exposure or lack of journalistic features in particular country into now being the platform that allows journalistic reporting from every single African country. It's very simple to do. So if you say water, or the lack of water is a problem, funny enough, right across Africa. Very few African countries can say we've solved our water problem. The solution is, the first step is to, what is that problem? Can you define that problem? If you were to find a solution, what would that solution look like? The answer to that question is called a sales lead for international water supply companies. So what our website allows you to do is describe that problem, quantify it, and then showcase it online to say, hey, I'm from this area in Africa. This is the water problem we're facing. This is how many people need a solution to it. Because when you look at that solution, the number of people that will be willing to pay for an alternative allows that supplier to say, fine, I will put my product in there because I benefit from being able to provide a service. It's under the concept of what we call outsourcing farming to Africa. And the first thing, the one asset that Africa has in abundance is land, arable land. So what we're saying is use the land, create a picture, take pictures with your phone, describe what the land is, take some soil sample or whatever it is that you can do with the land. You understand the land more than anybody else. Now we commercialize it by saying it is this big, it is this wide, it has this much crop capabilities within it, and then put it in the market. Just the same way you would do anything with a product that you take into market. Put it on the internet. Yes, on the website. Yeah. So you put it on our website and it goes on the internet. On the internet, international companies are then going to be who are looking to outsource farming or who need crops being grown, now see Africa coming to the market. Africa coming to the market, but not just empty-handed, saying, look, this is the land I have. It can produce X, Y, Z for you all year long. So your financial forecast that goes down when the season is not favorable will be a flat line, and in fact, it will begin to have an inclination because you've outsourced your farming to Africa at the point. But we're saying, we're coming to you. So all the mechanization that you need, the supplier provides to you. All the seed technology that you need is provided to you. But in our argument, as part of our corporate social responsibility, what we're saying is, if you have a piece of land, divide it into four parts. 3/4 is used for commercial farming, and the last quarter is used to address local food insecurity challenges. Using the mechanization from the West, using the seed technology from the West, we address food insecurity in Africa in less than a year.
That's brilliant. So, but how does the, part of the problem we have in Africa is red tape and government corruption and things like that. So now, am I right in suggesting that if someone puts it online, say for example, we're talking about this Burundi thing, and then there's the land.
Yes.
It could be anyone from Europe, America, or even from other African countries that want to invest in there or produce goods there. But how do they get past the red tape from the government?
Well, if you can imagine, this will be the first time in which Africans take the initiative to take the step and get a supplier. First of all, as an African farmer, if I want to farm and produce my crops to Rwanda, nobody's going to stop me because it's my right. Just the same way I build a house. If 100 of them in Burundi rise up and say this is our project, which government is going to say no? Which government is going to say the amount of tax you're going to pay on a $75,000 lease on your land, I want to say no to? That's from 100 of them. So the benefit to the government is sufficient to sway them to actually get rid of the red tape, because this is now the people saying, we don't want you to come up with a business idea. We've had a vehicle in which we can use to create our own business initiative, and we get more tax to you.
Excellent. And how many countries are you in Africa at the moment?
We've launched in Nigeria, Malawi. We have presence in Botswana and Lesotho. We've got internships in which we're trying to start with. I think we've got 80 internships in which we're starting simultaneously at the moment.
And what will they be doing?
Same thing. They will be finding a problem in their community. They will be documenting that and then showcasing it to the international community. Okay. So the idea behind it is that when you associate an African youth that is obviously facing in unemployment challenges now, in relation to an African asset, we're then taking that step a bit because we're a UK company. We're saying we're going to set a minimum wage. It's a minimum wage above the UK minimum wage, and it's a wage of £10 an hour. Now, the reason why is when you put the African next to an African asset, it's actually worth probably triple that. But we set it at £10 so that it is still attractive to the international supplier. So the international supplier would then engage the youth and contract them either for a 6 to 12 month basis to then start looking at how that solution can be provided. Don't forget, the benefit to the international supplier is a new market is just been opened for them. Now, we want to do that across Africa. We are aware of the fact that the £10 is significantly higher than even middle class wages in Africa. But why not? This is an African youth that has internet access, that is technology aware, that has an asset, and he's done his homework in preparing the supply side of it to just see and just benefit. So the demand is prepared, and that is definitely worth £10 an hour. And to all the suppliers in which we're talking to, they're saying, look, if that happens, £10 is the least of our problem. So when you subscribe to developingafrica.net, what you will get is your username and password. And there are three, as a student, for example, if we tackle the African youth first, you register and you will be able to create a project. That project allows you to show pictures and documentation, and you would use our Prince2. Prince2 is a methodology in project management in which you would use to document your project. That is acceptable to the international supply market. So you then showcase your particular problem, what you're going to lead. You put that online, and we automatically, our algorithm matches that demand to a supply.
You have suppliers already?
We have suppliers.
Okay.
So we're talking to the chambers of commerce across Europe to say, if you want to export to Nigeria, this is an easier way to export to Nigeria than go through the ministry. Because if you have a deal directly that gets your product on the ground, what more do you want? And it's going to be cheaper because by the time you go via the government and bribe your way through everybody, you're not going to get as much a penetration rate as these students will give you. So that is on the diaspora side. The diaspora is able to say, look, I see what you're doing as a youth and I see how I can add value to that. I would like to also sponsor you to be able to see how my technology skills can be added to that project. So bit by bit, as Africans, we're actually building a picture, but everybody is building it for their own country. So we can still have your interest in your country, but if I then I see what you're doing in Congo, and I'm in Burundi and I like it, I can then approach you to say, look, I see how this worked in Congo. Can we use it in Burundi? Because we're for the first time showing examples of how progress is being made. Rather than waiting, there's no funding requirement because you're going directly to the private sector, but you're not begging for money. You're telling them, look, this is a business case. If your product matches this, we will get it into Africa. You benefit from the fact that you make more sales in Africa without all the headache of flying into Africa. We can do that for you because we know Africa better than you can. In a separate life, I work as a lawyer. So I work with the chambers of FCAN, and what we do is we represent the African arm in negotiating the contract. And this is where we stipulate the minimum rate of the contract as well as the terms and conditions of the contract. And that is specifically to avoid abuse. Because the demand side in Africa is vulnerable in terms of not having the expertise to be able to argue its case on a level playing field. Well, because we are based in the UK, we can say, not only do we know what value the student is going to give you, we know the value your product is going to have in Africa. So we protect the intellectual property rights of the students in contract in the UK. Therefore, because jurisdiction in the UK, it is enforceable under UK law. Something which has been missing from Africa for decades. Because once the abuse takes place, you have no right to sue because they say it's jurisdiction outside the UK. Well, we're saying, well, we can eradicate that, make the contract jurisdiction in the UK as a UK entity or a European entity or even an international entity. You will still be subject to the international laws in which the UK subscribe to. So once the matching date takes place, the protection is there for the youth in Africa. He's got enough revenue to be able to sustain himself. And now, for the first time, he's seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. Not from the government, but something that he created himself. Well, no, we act as an agency.
Right.
So we would still be in there. And the idea is we want the African youth
from conception to birth.
From conception to death. In fact.
Right. Okay.
In fact, we go from the point to which we say, this is the project. We validated the content. Some people say, look, how about 419 and all that? I say, look, tell me the 419 that has gone through actually creating a project documentation. 419 is interested in quick money. They want to get the money from you today and cheat you or mislead you into thinking you don't. But none of them bother to say, maybe I can write a book about fraud detection. And this is the opposite. Because we're saying somebody is going to put the hard work into documenting the problem in their community. They're going to register with their local chambers of commerce. They're going to register with their local trade associations. They may be associated with a university. They put all of that online. It's not an easy thing. It's going to take at least 3 months to get all of that properly documented. The least of their worries is to be worrying about getting a quick buck from you when they have an entire future ahead of them. Because if this works, every single one of them is going to be earning an equivalent of average $40,000 a year. Average.